Hey guys, tonight we're exposing a secret so powerful it could shake the very foundations of Hollywood, or at least give you something fun to think about while you try to fall asleep. The hidden world of celebrity award shows and the mysterious little pill nearly everyone's too anxious to admit they've taken. No, not the one you hope they're taking, the one that makes their hands stop shaking long enough to fake laugh at a bad joke from Jimmy Kimmel. That's right, tonight we're slipping quietly into the world of beta blockers. If you've ever wondered why celebrities always look so calm when you, a mere mortal, would be sweating like a rotisserie chicken just walking a red carpet, well, let's just say it's not the yoga. Before we unmask Hollywood's best-kept pharmaceutical secret, do me a favour, like this video and subscribe, but honestly, only if you're actually enjoying yourself. Drop a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is. My personal theory is that it's always 3 a.m. and slightly worried about life choices somewhere. Now go ahead, dim those lights, crank up a fan for that white noise, and arrange yourself into whatever position most resembles a lizard on a heated rock. We're about to dive in. But wait, have you ever wondered? What really happens in the hours before a star's biggest night ever? How do you survive an awards show without your left eyelid twitching on live TV? Is there a secret Hollywood handshake for getting a prescription? How many A-listers are sneakily popping beta blockers in the limo? Do you have to trade your soul, or just your last free bottle of Evian? Why do actors with six-pack abs still look nervous ordering a latte, but then walk on stage like they own the moon? Tonight, congratulations. You're no longer a viewer at home in pyjamas. You've just woken up as a C-list actor, one nomination away from stardom, and the only thing standing between you and public humiliation is a tiny, chalky pill and the ability to pretend you're totally fine. Let's begin. It's the night before the biggest awards show of the year, and your stomach is staging a coup. While the world imagines you relaxing in a plush robe, you're actually Googling, "Can you die from flop sweat?" As your assistant douses your T-zone in prescription antiperspirant. If only the fans knew the real glamour was a battle between nerves, antacids, and the hope that tomorrow you'll remember how to say your own name. Your hotel suite is supposed to feel luxurious, but right now it resembles a cross between a crime scene and a sleep lab. Room service trays are everywhere, each one carrying a single, half-nibbled carrot stick and the remains of a decaf tea bag. Somewhere beneath the chaos, your phone buzzes, another friendly reminder from your publicist about tomorrow's itinerary, complete with a full-colour PDF mapping your entire existence in 15-minute increments. Fun! Outside your window, the city glows with the hope and desperation of 1,000 aspiring stars. But inside, you're conducting your own low-stakes panic ritual, mentally rehearsing your acceptance speech, rejection speech, tie for third place smile, and emergency exit strategy. You're surrounded by luxury, but somehow all you want is a plain bagel and the power to teleport. The spa-grade bathrobe weighs heavy on your shoulders. Literally, it's monogrammed and thick enough to survive a Siberian winter. You briefly consider curling up inside it until the ceremony's over, but no, there's still work to do. You cycle through meditation apps, hoping one of them will finally erase the sound of your own heartbeat. Calm ocean waves, soothing rain, existential dread. No audio track can drown out the inner monologue currently running a full episode of What If I Forget My Own Name? You practice deep breathing like your therapist recommended. In, out, in, out. But after 3 rounds, you're so lightheaded you consider adding passed out from Serenity to your future Wikipedia page. You switch to stretching, shoulders, neck, jaw, then pause mid-pose when you spot your reflection. This is the face of a person about to represent not just a movie or a TV show, but their entire ancestry, dental history, and, if social media is to be believed, the fate of Western civilization. Suddenly, your phone lights up again. It's your best friend, sending a meme of last year's winner ugly crying on stage. The caption, "Don't do this," heartwarming. You reply with an emoji that could mean haha or send help. Meanwhile, the group chat with your family is spiraling into chaos. Your aunt is arguing about what channel the awards will be on, your cousin is asking if you'll meet any Marvel actors, and your mother is sending a barrage of prayer hand emojis followed by, "Remember to hydrate." The evening wears on. You try to eat something. The options are limited to a cold protein bar or a banana so green it could technically still be classified as a houseplant. You opt for the bar, chewing thoughtfully while wondering if calories even count the night before a major life event, or if they're simply vaporized by anxiety. Eventually, it's time for bed. You pull back the hotel sheets, which are crisp, white, and vaguely intimidating. You try to recall the last time you actually slept before something important. The answer is never. Still, you close your eyes and attempt to will yourself into unconsciousness. Instead, your brain replays every possible outcome, every slip-up, every viral moment of other people tripping on stage in years past. You mentally rank your own likelihood of becoming a trending hashtag by breakfast. Just as you're about to drift off, a new terror dawns. What if you actually win? What if you don't? What if you sneeze during your speech and accidentally thank your elementary school gym teacher instead of your agent? You give up on sleep and grab your phone to double-check the show's dress code for the 8th time. At last, you surrender to the fact that real stars are forged not in the spotlight, but in the sleepless, nervous hours beforehand, where nerves, caffeine, and the desperate search for the hotel room's blackout curtains collide. You close your eyes, take one last shaky breath, and promise yourself, tomorrow, no matter what happens, you'll try to have fun, or at the very least, not faint. And that, friends, is the real magic of award season, surviving the night before. No one tells you about the shadowy physician every star keeps on speed dial. You're ushered into an office that smells like eucalyptus and career desperation, where your performance anxiety is met with a sympathetic nod and a prescription pad. The password isn't Oscars, it's I have to speak in public again. Welcome to the beta blocker underground. You've spent most of your career pretending nerves are just part of the creative process, something that can be conquered with deep breathing, a motivational playlist, and, in a pinch, a really expensive vitamin shot. But tonight, with the awards looming and your armpits in open revolt, you've decided to seek professional help, the kind that doesn't require you to chant positive affirmations in the mirror until your own reflection starts rolling its eyes. The office is nestled somewhere between a juice bar that promises liquid enlightenment and a luxury pet spa, a fitting metaphor for a town where everyone is a little bit tense and every poodle gets more regular checkups than the average screenwriter. You check in under your assistant's name because even now discretion is everything. The receptionist greets you with a smile that suggests she's seen it all. Soap stars, rock stars, people who used to be stars but now sell kombucha on Instagram. You're invited to sit on a plush, suspiciously stain-resistant couch. Ambient music twinkles from hidden speakers, and you notice a small stack of magazines on the table, every cover featuring a celebrity looking just a little too relaxed. You thumb through one as you wait, reading an article about the Zen secrets of Hollywood's calmest stars, conveniently omitting the part about pharmaceutical assistants. At last, you're called back. The doctor, in designer scrubs and allbirds, is the sort of person who can say "I understand completely" and almost make you believe it. You explain the situation. Big night, big nerves, and a recurring dream where you try to thank your agent but end up proposing to the guy from accounting. The doctor doesn't judge. Instead, there's a gentle smile and a practice question. Have you tried breathing exercises? You nod, as if you haven't been hyperventilating into your dry cleaning bag for a week. After a few gentle prods, do you have any allergies? Are you expecting to climb Mount Everest? The prescription pad comes out. The pen hovers, then scribbles something that looks like the world's least subtle treasure map. Take one an hour before the show, the doctor advises. Maybe not with espresso. You promise to try, but everyone knows the red carpet is fueled by caffeine and existential dread. You ask, will it make me less me? The doctor assures you that no, it will just take the edge off. You'll still be yourself, just without the visible, shaking, clammy hands, or the urge to fake a fainting spell. You imagine all the others who've sat here before, that A-lister who always seems chill, the indie darling with the haunted eyes, maybe even a late-night host or two. Before you leave, the doctor leans in conspiratorially. You'd be surprised who else comes in, they whisper. You're dying to ask for a name, but you know better. This is Hollywood. Anonymity is the real luxury. Prescription in hand, you step out into the LA sunlight, feeling both lighter and somehow even more nervous. You text your manager a simple thumbs-up emoji, which is code for "I have secured the goods. Let the games begin." Walking back to your car, the prescription slips neatly into your bag, nestled next to a lucky rabbit's foot, a rescue inhaler, and a wrinkled speech you'll almost certainly forget to read. As you pass another nervous-looking actor outside the juice bar, you catch their eye. For a moment, there's a silent exchange, a flash of recognition, a glimmer of camaraderie among the anxiety-ridden. You wonder if they too have just emerged from the doctor's den, pocket full of hope and maybe 10 grams of courage. As the sun sets over the city, you realise you're not alone. In this strange high-pressure village, everyone has their own secret weapon. Yours just happens to fit in a tiny orange bottle with a childproof cap. Punchline: welcome to show business, where the only thing more common than nerves is pretending you don't have them. You finally hold it. A tiny, unassuming pill. Not glamorous, not expensive, just reliable. It promises nothing except a chance to avoid full-body panic while people in the front row stare into your soul. Forget Botox, this is the real award show essential, discreetly tucked behind every designer clutch. You take a moment to admire its total lack of star power. No glitter, no fancy packaging, not even a holographic security sticker. It looks like the kind of thing you'd find wedged between breath mints and safety pins at the bottom of your grandmother's purse. Yet in this industry, it's as valuable as a golden statue. Beta blockers, the unacknowledged co-stars of every major acceptance speech since the dawn of televised nerves. The science is unimpressive, no magical transformation, just a quiet block on your body's panic alarms. Your heart rate slows, your hands stop channeling the spirit of an over-caffeinated squirrel, and the roaring white noise in your ears fades to a gentle background hum. You're not high, not sedated, not suddenly filled with confidence. You're just capable of pretending for a few hours that you're not one blink away from a televised breakdown. You can spot the other converts. At the rehearsal, there's a certain calm behind the eyes, a stillness as everyone else flutters nervously with cue cards. It's the same look you've seen in surgeons, airline pilots and kindergarten teachers after nap time. You exchange a knowing glance with a presenter from last year. Their smile is just a little too serene for someone about to read a teleprompter in front of 3 million people. Of course, there are rules, unwritten, but strictly observed. Never admit you're taking one. Never ask what dose your co-star uses, and for the love of all things glamorous, never let anyone catch you dry swallowing it in the green room like a college student before finals. Officially, you're just well-rested and hydrated. Unofficially, your clutch is a mobile pharmacy that could probably win an award for Best Supporting Accessory. For a moment, you consider the alternatives. Meditation? Tried it. Yoga? You're still sore from the time you attempted a downward dog and nearly threw out your hip. Visualization exercises? The only thing you picture is forgetting your lines and being immortalized as a GIF. There's always the option to just be yourself. A piece of advice usually dispensed by people who've never had to smile while sitting next to an action star, with a jawline sharp enough to slice brie. You look around the dressing room. On one side, a comedian is telling herself, "You're fine, you're fine, you're fine," in a voice that suggests she's not fine. On the other, a Broadway legend is muttering song lyrics under her breath like a medieval prayer. You, meanwhile, slip your little helper from its case, feeling a quiet sense of gratitude for modern pharmacology. You're not seeking euphoria, just neutrality. The moment you take it, nothing dramatic happens. There's no swelling music, no montage of nerves melting away. The world simply levels out. You're still anxious, still a little sweaty, still debating whether your shoes are too loud for the carpet. But now the anxiety feels manageable, like background static you can ignore. Your hands are steady enough to hold a microphone. Your voice won't betray you with that high-pitched wobble that once made you sound like a startled goat. You wonder how many other naturally calm celebrities have made the same quiet pact with science. Probably more than you'll ever know. There's a special kinship among the initiated, a secret society bonded not by luxury or fame, but by the humble relief of not embarrassing themselves on national TV. As you tuck the empty packet away, you remind yourself that you'll never see headlines like Brave Star Survives award show without heart exploding. Your little helper will never win a trophy, pose for selfies, or get a standing ovation. But for a few hours, it lets you walk, smile, and maybe even sparkle without looking like you've just been chased by a bear. And in this town, that's the best supporting role of all. Before you worry about the acceptance speech, there's the ordeal of fitting into a suit so tight you can taste your spleen. As stylists poke, prod, and murmur about chic anxiety, you pop your first pill and hope it works faster than your deodorant. Red carpet fashion isn't about looking good. It's about not fainting in couture. You're standing on a low, slightly wobbly platform that feels oddly like a medieval punishment device. with 3 stylists circling you, armed with pins, tape, and that thin-lipped determination found only in people whose job is to make you look expensive. There are bright lights, a full-length mirror, and a rack of designer garments that cost more than your first car. Every inch of you is under scrutiny. Shoulders, waist, posture, even your facial expression as you try not to pass out from holding in your stomach. One stylist adjusts the lapels of your jacket with a sigh that somehow communicates both disappointment and hope. "Relax your shoulders," she says, as if it's possible to relax when you're being wrapped tighter than a Chipotle burrito. Another circles, armed with what looks like a tape measure but could just as easily be a lie detector. "Have you been working out?" he asks, not expecting an answer. The third stylist is at your feet, frowning at your ankles. "We'll need to hem these another 1/4 inch, or you'll look like you borrowed them from your uncle. You didn't even know you had an uncle." Meanwhile, you can feel the slow, telltale trickle of sweat along your back. It's the kind of anxiety sweat you only get when someone says, "Just be natural," while 11 people stare at your reflection in absolute silence. This is not Project Runway, it's Project Will My Pores Ruin Silk Forever? The beta blocker is still warming up in your system, but you're already contemplating trading your place for the comfort of a burlap sack and a nap. You glance at the dress shirts, white, blue, pale lavender, each one a trap designed to show every stray droplet. Your stylist chooses bone, a colour so subtle it could only have been named by people who haven't seen the inside of a washing machine in years. Bone is very forgiving under the lights, she promises. You nod, wishing for the forgiveness of your own sweat glands. Then comes the test run. You're instructed to walk, sit, stand, and smile, all while wearing shoes so slippery you're certain you'll set a record for longest accidental slide down a red carpet. Every move feels choreographed by a personal trainer with a vendetta. The stylist hands you a fan, and you're suddenly grateful for the cool breeze on your forehead. Just in case, she winks, as if you both know this is only a temporary victory against biology. You glance around and spot another celebrity in a nearby fitting room, arms raised, face frozen in fear as a team attempts to zip her into something that looks more like a magic trick than a dress. She meets your eyes. You exchange a silent, sweaty salute, the universal language of award season solidarity. You try to distract yourself by listening to the stylist banter. They discuss everything from the best tape for preventing wardrobe malfunctions, industrial strength if you're presenting, to which shoes caused last year's infamous heel heard round the world. Someone mentions body makeup for knees, and you wonder what kind of world you've stumbled into where your patellas need foundation. At some point, the designer breezes in, claps dramatically, and declares, "You look perfect." Just a few more adjustments. The stylists descend, tightening a seam here, pinching fabric there, while you contemplate the structural engineering behind not passing out during applause. At last, the fitting ends. You're peeled out of the outfit, a little lighter, a lot sweatier, and still questioning your life choices. The beta blocker, now kicking in, smooths the edges of your panic, leaving you with a pleasant sense of numb accomplishment. You survived, at least until show day, when you'll do it all again, but this time in front of cameras and complete strangers. Red carpet fashion isn't about effortless elegance. It's about surviving the slow, sticky crucible of fitting day, armed with only courage, double-stick tape, and a prescription for calm. Congratulations, you're ready to sweat through silk, but at least you'll do it gracefully. It's the morning of the show, and breakfast is 2 sips of green juice, a beta blocker, and enough caffeine to restart a small nation. You can't decide if you're jittery from nerves or just overdosing on cold brew. Either way, your heart rate is finally below pigeon trapped in a grocery store. Your phone alarm starts buzzing at an hour usually reserved for airline pilots and insomniac poets. You lie in bed for a few precious minutes, debating the physics of going back to sleep versus the consequences of missing a 30-person hair and makeup appointment. Eventually you stagger upright, swaddled in a hotel bathrobe, and shuffle toward the room service tray where the day's first meal awaits. A suspiciously green liquid in a glass labelled immunity boost, but tasting like regret and celery. With trembling hands, you measure out the perfect combination, your beta blocker, lined up next to an espresso shot so strong it could remove paint. You pop the pill and chase it with a gulp of green juice, hoping the two cancel each other out in your bloodstream and leave you with the right balance of calm but not comatose. Moments later, you go back for the coffee. The barista downstairs claims it's a triple ristretto, Hand-pulled, single-origin, small-batch roast. But all you know is that it hits your bloodstream like a marching band, shaking you awake with the subtlety of an air horn. You stare at yourself in the mirror, clutching your coffee like a life preserver. Your skin is fine. Your eyes are open. Your mouth forms a lopsided, caffeinated smile that says, "I'm ready to accept an award, or possibly run a marathon, whichever comes first." Out of habit, you check your phone again. Texts from your team are rolling in. Call time is 9:15. Don't forget to hydrate. And remember, today is about having fun. Fun, sure. The clock is ticking. You sit at the edge of the bed and make a half-hearted attempt at meditation, but your brain is already reviewing every possible scenario, tripping on the red carpet, blanking on your co-star's name, accidentally calling the presenter Dad. Meanwhile, the espresso has you vibrating at a frequency only small rodents can hear, and the beta blocker provides a pleasant sense of, this is fine, this is all fine. Your assistant pops in to check on you, bringing a replacement green juice just in case, and reminding you for the 5th time not to touch your own hair. You make a mental note to avoid mirrors and sip the replacement juice out of guilt, wondering if anyone has ever successfully digested this much chlorophyll without evolving gills. The breakfast table is a study in contrasts. On one side, a carefully curated spread of berries, whole wheat toast and chia pudding, prepared by someone who once read a Gwyneth Paltrow interview. On the other, your coffee, your pill, and a pastry you aren't allowed to eat because apparently gluten is more dangerous than anxiety. You glance wistfully at the pastry before deciding you don't need more fuel. Nerves and caffeine will sustain you. At some point you scroll social media, looking for inspiration. Every celebrity seems to have posted their show day ritual. Sun salutations, homemade matcha, motivational quotes. You consider posting a selfie with your own breakfast of champions, but suspect the combination of beta blocker and triple espresso is not what the internet means by wellness journey. Finally, you get dressed in your getting ready clothes, which are just yesterday's pajamas but rebranded for morale. Take one last swig of coffee and steel yourself for the day ahead. In a few hours, you'll be polished, posed, and pretending to float effortlessly through the most stressful hours of your year. But right now, you're calm, caffeinated, and maybe just a little bit proud. You've already won the first battle of award show day, breakfast. Sure, it's unconventional, but then again, so is surviving in this business. You set your cup down and head for hair and makeup, one small step for you, one giant leap for sleep-deprived, anxious, modern humanity. As the limo glides toward the venue, your thoughts ricochet between "don't forget your lines" and "did I just hallucinate Ryan Seacrest?" But thanks to a little pharmacological support, your hands are as dry as your publicist's sense of humour. You may not win tonight, but at least you won't sweat through the upholstery. There's something surreal about the inside of an awards show limo. Maybe it's the way the tinted windows turn LA into a soft-focus fever dream. Or maybe it's the faint smell of roses, perfume, and last-minute regret. You're surrounded by plush leather, chilled bottled water, and a tiny bowl of mints, but you can't decide if you're on your way to stardom or a very fancy hostage situation. The driver, a man of few words and even fewer facial expressions, offers a polite nod in the rearview mirror. Your stylist and publicist sit beside you, speaking in urgent whispers about camera angles, step and repeat banners, and how to angle your body for maximum jawline visibility. Someone asks if you want a last spritz of setting spray. You agree, and are gently misted like a prize orchid on its way to a high-stakes gardening competition. You check your reflection in the window. Hair, still intact. Suit, pressed, if a bit unforgiving. Shoes, as shiny as hope. Hands, mercifully dry. That's right. No awkward palm sweat to transfer during the 37 handshakes awaiting you. You mentally thank your beta blocker, your dermatologist, and possibly whatever ancient deity invented air conditioning. You glance at your phone, where messages continue to pour in. Your group chat is ablaze. Your best friend sends, "Remember, no ugly cry this time." Your mum texts, "Be yourself." But also, don't make that weird face you do when you're nervous. Your agent just wants you to smile for the cameras and not get caught with spinach in your teeth. It's heartwarming, in a please don't embarrass us on television kind of way. The limo hits a brief patch of traffic, and you take a moment to soak it all in. You watch other black SUVs and stretch limos inching toward the venue, each containing a nervous actor or a singer whose stylist is praying for one last miracle. Occasionally, your car pulls up alongside another window, and you glimpse the familiar expression of a fellow nominee, a blend of mortal terror and forced serenity. Sometimes you exchange a little nod or a wave. Sometimes you both just avoid eye contact, as if that could jinx your chances. Inside, your stylist fusses over a stray hair, and your publicist rehearses a few talking points, reminding you not to bring up politics, your childhood, or that one time you compared awards season to high school gym class. You promise to stick to the script, knowing full well your brain may short-circuit the second the first flashbulb pops. You reach for the bottle of water, realizing your mouth is suddenly as dry as your sense of perspective. You sip carefully, aware that too much hydration now means a desperate bathroom sprint just before showtime, a rookie mistake you intend to avoid this year at least. The car rounds the corner and suddenly the venue is in sight. The glow of lights, the blur of red carpet, the swarm of paparazzi. The energy in the car spikes. Your stylist gives you a pep talk, your publicist offers a last-minute reminder, and you steady yourself with a long, slow breath. The pill has done its work. Your heart pounds a little less, your mind feels a touch clearer. The limo door opens. A rush of noise, colour and expectation greets you. You step out, one foot in front of the other, careful not to trip. There are cameras, shouts, flashes, and for a split second you feel oddly, impossibly calm. Your palms are dry, your smile is real enough. You stride forward, embracing the absurd circus ahead. And that, you realise, is the true miracle of modern medicine. You may still be terrified, but at least you won't leave a handprint on the back seat. The red carpet, part gladiator arena, part fashion nightmare. Under the blinding lights and desperate cries of "Who are you wearing?" you channel an Oscar-winning performance as a person who isn't absolutely terrified. Beta blocker, kicking in, smile, glued on, regret, strong but manageable. The limo door opens and suddenly you're standing on what can only be described as the world's most expensive slip and slide. The carpet is impossibly red, blinding under 1,000 flashbulbs, and just wide enough that every step feels like walking a tightrope in front of an arena full of fashion critics. There's a wave of hot air, a wall of noise, and an immediate primal urge to run back inside and demand an emotional support chihuahua. Instead, you square your shoulders and step out, immediately blinded by lights that could tan a cow. There's a crowd behind the barricades, a sea of signs and screaming, with faces pressed up against the velvet ropes. Some shout your name, some just shout. At this point, you could introduce yourself as a regional sales manager and still get a cheer. The photographers bark directions. To the left, chin down. No, not that far. You try to comply, hoping your eyelids don't involuntarily flutter shut and that you haven't left a price tag somewhere visible. Next come the interviewers. They stand shoulder to shoulder, wielding microphones and oversized cue cards. Each one seems to have made a blood pact to ask you the world's strangest question. What's your mantra tonight? How did you spiritually prepare your ankles for this evening? Do you believe in ghosts? And if so, are they in the room with us right now? You improvise answers, weaving a patchwork of fake calm and genuine confusion, all while keeping your posture straight and your media smile from curdling into a rictus of panic. Beneath it all, you're performing the true red carpet ritual, pretending you're not desperately worried about sweat stains. You recall the stylist's last words, "You'll be fine, just don't move too much." Every step is measured, every handshake a minor act of bravery. You hope your deodorant is working as hard as your publicist. Behind your practiced calm, your mind races. Is my collar straight? Is my shoe untied? Did I remember to take off that weird security tag, or am I about to set off a store alarm on live TV? You move down the gauntlet, stopping every few feet for photos. You perfect the art of standing still, half-turned, one foot in front of the other, chin slightly down, smile soft but not dentist appointment soft. You flash the practiced red carpet laugh, the one that looks candid but is actually a survival mechanism developed over years of awkward family weddings. In the midst of the chaos, you spot a fellow nominee. You exchange a silent nod, a moment of solidarity among the fashionably doomed. Your feet are starting to ache, and you're certain that your Spanx are trying to burrow their way into another dimension. Somewhere, someone yells, "Work the camera!" So you angle yourself like you've just invented geometry, praying you're not accidentally blocking a superstar's entrance. The carpet stretches on and on, a shimmering, treacherous path between you and the sanctuary of the venue doors. Every new light brings another burst of applause, another stranger asking you to spin, wave, or act spontaneous. You want nothing more than to melt into the crowd and become a background extra in someone else's movie. But finally, you make it to the end. The last flashbulb pops, the final question is answered, and the doors to the venue beckon. As you step inside, a wave of relief washes over you. You survive the gauntlet, the performance is over, for now. And as you enter the building, you realise, out here, just showing up is worthy of an award. Even if all you win is a lifetime supply of dry cleaning, you're thrust in front of microphones by a handler who whispers, "Don't mention the NDA." For 5 minutes, you're bombarded with questions about your process, your favourite sandwich, and your skincare routine. On the outside, you're charming. On the inside, you're calculating the odds of escaping through a catering tunnel. There's a blinding wall of light, the roar of a dozen different reporters calling your name, and a red carpet underfoot that now feels stickier than any medieval torture device. You smile brightly, channeling every ounce of your acting ability into looking like someone who is comfortable with this level of attention and humidity. Behind the scenes, you're quietly praying your beta blocker doesn't suddenly clock out and leave you stammering live on entertainment television. The first question comes from a reporter whose entire personality is built around being quirky. If your character had a theme song, what would it be? You freeze. You panic. You blurt out, "The theme from Jaws?" She laughs, scribbles something and moves on, leaving you to wonder if you've just made yourself a meme by breakfast. Next up, tell us about your process. This is the big one, the question you both expect and dread, because my process mostly involves panic-eating peanut butter straight from the jar at 2 a.m. You cobble together a story about finding the truth in every moment and trusting the material, which sounds exactly like what it is. The acting equivalent of answering a job interview question with "I'm just really passionate about spreadsheets." You've barely finished before another microphone appears. What's your go-to sandwich? You sense a trap. You want to say turkey on rye, but you're suddenly gripped by a fear of angering the gluten-free community. You pivot to avocado toast, which seems safe, but now the vegan lobby is in play. You mumble something about loving all sandwiches equally, then try to laugh it off, hoping it comes off as quirky instead of slightly unhinged. There's no time to breathe. How do you stay so grounded, a lifestyle vlogger asks, her camera already uncomfortably close to your nostrils. You make a self-deprecating joke about tripping over your own feet and how your family still makes you take out the trash when you're home. It's true, but also the only story you have that isn't under NDEA or potentially career-ending. Then comes the skincare gauntlet. What's your nightly routine? You could say prayer and regret, but instead you recite a list of products your publicist once emailed you, none of which you've ever actually opened. The reporter nods seriously, jotting it all down, while you mentally note to buy at least one of those products so you can truthfully say you own it. Your brain starts to fog as the barrage continues. Who are you most excited to see tonight? Is it true you do your own stunts? Can you do a TikTok dance for us just real quick? You begin to envy the A-listers who disappeared into the venue as soon as their cars pulled up. But your feet are rooted, your smile is locked in place, and your handler is just out of reach, giving the universal keep-talking hand gesture. You daydream about making a run for it, vaulting the velvet rope, sprinting down a service hallway, and hiding behind a dessert cart until the ceremony begins. But instead, you nod politely, repeat the project's name 3 times for SEO, and pretend the microphones are not multiplying by the second. Finally, someone signals you're free. You walk away, adrenaline still pulsing, unsure if you said anything memorable or simply filled the air with pleasant, forgettable fluff. The catering tunnel never materialized, but you made it out with your dignity, mostly intact, and only a slight suspicion that you'll be seeing your own awkward interview moments on a highlight reel tomorrow. But that's the real skill of celebrity interviews, surviving 5 minutes of total unpredictability, answering with charm and leaving with your secret panic undetected, like a true professional and just a little bit of a magician. Backstage is a fever dream of glitter, panic, and the distant scent of hairspray. You practice your acceptance speech in the bathroom mirror, clutching your phone in one hand and a glass of calm water in the other. Is the beta blocker still working, or are you just numb from fear? Time will tell. The lights are softer back here, but the tension is sharp enough to shave with. You pace the narrow corridor, trying not to trip over electrical cords or knock over a lighting technician who's seen it all and wants no part in your existential spiral. Everywhere, nervous nominees hover in little clumps, whispering motivational slogans and dry-mouthed affirmations. Someone's reciting Shakespeare to their reflection. Someone else is stress-eating mints like they're the secret to immortality. You take another sip of your calm water, which tastes suspiciously like tap and regret. Your phone vibrates with a last-minute text from your agent. Remember, if you win, thank the studio. If you lose, smile like you meant to. You try to type a reply but end up just sending an accidental thumbs up, which feels about right for this moment in your career. In the corner, you spot a fellow nominee deep breathing into what looks like a dry cleaning bag. You make a mental note. If you win, try not to faint. If you lose, try not to look so relieved. Time loses all meaning. Every few minutes, someone with a headset pops in and calls out a name like a cosmic lottery. Sometimes it's yours, only to inform you that your category is still about 20 minutes out. Each time, your heart does a little two-step, then settles back into a low, thrumming hum. Is that the beta blocker, or just the thrill of impending public humiliation? Hard to say. The mirror is not your friend tonight. You stare at your reflection, mouth your opening line, and immediately forget what comes next. You scroll through your notes on your phone, hoping that seeing the speech again will tattoo it onto your brain. Instead, you find a grocery list and 3 reminders to breathe. Thanks, past self. Very helpful. A stage manager appears and gives you the look, the one that says you're up soon. So please, for the love of everything, don't wander off, panic vomit, or get lost in the bowels of the theatre. You nod with what you hope is professional composure, then immediately forget where your dressing room is. You consider just hiding in the bathroom, but the scent of hairspray is starting to make you dizzy. Around you, the ritual unfolds. Last-minute makeup touch-ups, frantic wardrobe adjustments, pep talks whispered in corners. One nominee mutters a mantra about gratitude and being present, while another just stares blankly at the floor. Someone else is muttering the alphabet backward. You try not to wonder if you'll be able to stand upright when your name is called. You check your phone for the 100th time, half expecting your manager to text, "Run." Instead, there's a new message from your mother. "Smile and remember you're a star," followed immediately by, "Did you eat? You look thin on TV." The family dynamic, even now, is both grounding and anxiety-inducing. Time inches forward, marked only by the number of times you refresh your social media feeds and the gradually shrinking level of water in your glass. You're convinced the next 5 minutes will last for hours. Every sound, every shoe scuff, every faraway applause, every muffled announcement sends a jolt through your system. At last, someone calls your name. It's time. You stand up, knees not exactly steady, but you make it to the wings. The air is thick with hope, panic, and enough perfume to anesthetize a horse. You grip your note cards, take a breath, and realize you're as ready as you'll ever be. Backstage may be chaos, but you survived it. One step closer to the spotlight, and whatever happens out there, at least you'll have a great story and maybe a funny meme by morning. Every celebrity has a ritual. Some meditate, some rehearse. You're counting your heartbeats, reapplying lip balm, and silently hoping no one notices you're whispering the lyrics to Eye of the Tiger. Calm is a relative term. The green room is a curious liminal space, part luxury lounge, part existential waiting room. Its decor says exclusive, but the energy feels more like shared dentist appointment. The lighting is soft, but somehow still manages to highlight every bead of nervous sweat. You find yourself seated on a velvet couch that looks inviting, but feels like sitting on a pile of unresolved childhood issues. Everyone is pretending to be at ease. No one is. All around you, the pre-show rituals are in full swing. In one corner, an actor up for their 3rd nomination paces silently, mouthing their speech for the 1,000th time. They've already perfected their "oh, I'm surprised" face, and now they're just working on not blinking weirdly if they win. Beside them, a singer quietly harmonizes with the ambient playlist, searching for a pitch-perfect thank you note. A famous director meditates cross-legged on the carpet, radiating an aura of serenity so powerful you suspect it's sponsored. You keep your own routine low-key. 1 swipe of lip balm, 2, just in case. You tug at your sleeves, press your hands together, count your pulse. Each beat is a reminder that, beneath the sequins and designer silk, You're just another mammal in the wild, hoping to survive until dinner. You hum a line of Eye of the Tiger under your breath. Because if you can channel even a fraction of that song's energy, maybe you'll get through this without melting into a puddle of anxiety. The snacks, arranged artfully on the coffee table, offer little comfort. Bowls of gluten-free pretzel sticks, gourmet nuts, and sparkling water with notes of yuzu, all suspiciously untouched. You nibble a pretzel, then instantly regret it. What if it gets stuck in your teeth? What if you start choking and become a viral meme? Celebrity chokes on pre-show carbs. You make a mental note to only eat foods that could double as facial exfoliant. There's a lot of nervous reapplying, lipstick, powder, deodorant. A presenter checks their reflection for the 4th time, practicing a smile that reads gracious in defeat, but also might cry in Uber home. Someone is murmuring a mantra, "You are enough. You are present. You will not sweat through this silk." Their assistant fans them gently with a laminated list of people to thank. The air is thick with the scent of hairspray, cologne, and hope. You do your best not to fidget, but your foot taps an irregular beat. You realise you've been gripping your phone so tightly it's nearly moulded to your hand. For a moment you consider texting your mum for a pep talk, but last time she sent a string of anxious emojis and a reminder not to slouch. The final moments before showtime are a blur. Someone starts a round of power poses, standing tall like superheroes, arms stretched overhead, as if about to take flight or request more gluten-free snacks. You join in, but feel more like an overcooked noodle than a conquering champion. Still, the ritual is oddly comforting. A producer pokes their head in. 5 minutes! The words ricochet around the room. Panic briefly flares, then settles. Laughter erupts for no reason. There's an unspoken understanding right now. You're all in this together, competitors but also comrades in survival. You take one last shaky breath. You straighten your jacket. You whisper your chosen affirmation. Something about bravery, gratitude, or just not tripping on your way to the stage. The green room hushes as you're ushered toward the wings, hearts pounding, hopeful and terrified. You're ready, or as ready as anyone can be when calm is just a word for not visibly combusting. Showtime. It's T-minus 5 minutes. You're hiding in a bathroom stall, reciting affirmations from your life coach, and considering whether anyone would notice if you climbed out the window. It's not stage fright. It's pre-success recalibration. Sure, the bathroom is the last bastion of privacy in a night built entirely around exposure. In here, the world is muffled by tiles and the steady drone of distant plumbing. There's a suspiciously gentle hum of air conditioning and a faint whiff of lilac air freshener. Someone thought ahead. You take a seat on the closed toilet lid, adjusting your outfit so you don't emerge with mysterious creases. This is your sanctuary. This is your panic room. You pull out your phone and swipe open the Notes app. There, your affirmation list waits. You are calm. You are prepared. You are more than your last viral meme. You try to internalize each line, but your heart has other plans, thumping in your chest like a minor character in a horror movie. You stare at the door. Is it locked? Definitely. You think about the window above the sink. Could you fit? Maybe, if you'd skipped that last immunity booster smoothie. From the next stall, someone's humming a power ballad. In another, a pair of high heels clatters frantically as their owner practices what sounds like a desperate interpretive dance. You're not alone in this refuge of nerves. A subtle camaraderie forms among bathroom exiles, each of you having chosen temporary solitude over the carnival outside. You catch your reflection in the mirror, half convinced you look like a ghost haunting the lavatory. You smooth your hair, reapply lip balm for the 10th time, and run a tissue under your eyes just in case. No one wants to be the person whose tears of gratitude are actually just poorly contained eyeliner. For a moment, you give yourself a proper pep talk, not the kind they show in movies, but the honest, slightly desperate one. You're not here by accident. You worked for this. You're about to go on stage and statistically probably not faint. You flash a smile, which feels almost real. There's a knock on the bathroom door. 2 minutes, someone calls. Panic and adrenaline surge as you realize the countdown is real. You consider faking an emergency, a jammed zipper, a sudden philosophical crisis, a desperate need to rehydrate, but you know the show will go on with or without you. One last deep breath. You shake out your hands, a trick your acting coach swears by. The motion is somewhere between jazz hands and a frantic attempt to dry invisible paint. It helps, a little. You repeat your affirmations quieter now, a mantra only for you. You are present. You're enough. You have never ever fallen down in public. Yet. You open the stall door and step out, blinking at the brightness of the vanity lights. The transformation is subtle but profound. Gone is the anxious would-be escape artist. In the mirror stands a poised, camera-ready version of yourself, or at least a person who can pass as one for the next 15 minutes. You join the others at the sinks, a silent nod exchanged with a presenter practicing their winning smile. There's laughter, nervous and genuine. Someone compliments your shoes. You return the favour because solidarity is the real dress code tonight. The final seconds slip away. As you make your way to the wings, you can still feel the echo of your bathroom pep talk. You might never confess just how close you came to climbing out the window, but you know, truly know, that courage is forged in these tiny, ridiculous moments of privacy. Stage fright? Maybe. But as the applause filters through the walls and your name is called, you step forward. The bathroom pep talk, like the best kind of therapy, lingers in your bones. Showtime. Behind closed doors, there's an unspoken camaraderie, a discreet pill passed, a wink, a nod. The A-list handshake isn't a handshake at all, but a pharmacy-level swap that would make a pharmacist blush. Nothing bonds stars quite like shared anxiety. Because here's the truth no one puts in the glossy magazine spreads. Award season is basically one long group project where everyone pretends they're not terrified. The gowns may sparkle, the tuxedos may be pressed within an inch of their lives, but underneath it all, every famous person is just a slightly overdressed human trying not to visibly panic under fluorescent lighting. And somewhere in the soft chaos backstage, tucked between the hairspray clouds and the emergency sewing kits, the exchange happens. Not loudly, not dramatically. It's never like, "Hello, fellow celebrity, may I offer you one pharmaceutical calmness tablet?" No. It's more like someone leans in while pretending to compliment your cufflinks. They murmur, almost casually, "You good?" And you know exactly what that means. It doesn't mean, "Are you emotionally fulfilled?" It doesn't mean, "Are you thriving spiritually?" It means, "Is your heart currently doing parkour inside your ribcage?" You give a tiny nod, or maybe a half shrug, the international symbol for, "I am holding it together with tape and modern medicine." And then, like a scene from a spy movie but significantly less cool, a hand appears. Something small is placed into your palm. It could be a mint. It could be a breath freshener. It could be the difference between delivering a graceful speech and accidentally whispering "help me" into the microphone. This is the beta blocker exchange, a quiet little tradition passed down through generations of performers like some ancient Hollywood folk remedy. Forget the secret menus at celebrity restaurants. This is the real secret menu. Somewhere nearby, a famous actor who has played a superhero 12 times is casually asking someone, "Do you have an extra?" Because apparently, saving the universe is easy. Reading 5 names off an envelope without sweating through silk, that's the real challenge. The funny part is how normal it feels. No one acts weird about it. No one gasps. No one clutches pearls. It's treated with the same casual practicality as borrowing a charger. "Oh, you need one?" "Yeah, of course." As if they're passing you a stick of gum. You look around and realize this is happening everywhere. That serene actress who always looks like she was born floating. That comedian who seems effortlessly confident. That legendary director who acts like applause is boring. They've all been here. They've all stood in a hallway like this, heart pounding, mouth dry, thinking, "I cannot do this." And then someone helped. It's oddly comforting. Like finding out the cool kids in high school were also secretly crying in the bathroom. Fame doesn't cancel nerves. It just adds better lighting. You watch the exchange ripple quietly through the room. A presenter smooths their jacket. A nominee takes a slow sip of water. Someone whispers, "God, I hate this part." Someone else replies, "Same." And for a moment, it's not glamorous. It's not elite. It's just human. A bunch of anxious people in expensive fabric trying to survive a night of public emotion. You almost want to laugh. Because the world thinks this is effortless. The world thinks celebrities are born calm, born confident, born ready for a spotlight. But backstage, the truth is softer. Backstage, everyone is just hoping their voice doesn't crack. Everyone is just trying not to trip. Everyone is just praying they don't accidentally thank the wrong person and create an internet scandal called Thankgate. And in that shared vulnerability, something strangely sweet happens. A quiet bond, a wink, a nod. A pill passed like a tiny torch in the darkness. Nothing bonds stars quite like shared anxiety. And as you tuck your little helper safely away, you realise this might be the most honest moment of the entire night. Right before everyone steps out to pretend they were never scared at all. It doesn't matter if you're a triple threat or just threatened by triple-digit audiences. Stage fright is the great equaliser. As you wait to be announced, you remind yourself that Meryl Streep once admitted to nerves. If she's not immune, there's hope for the rest of us. The truth is, it's not about talent. It's not about how many awards you've won or how many times your face has been broadcast across the world's living rooms. It's about that moment, standing in the dark wings, half blinded by the stage lights, listening as someone in a voice far too cheerful announces, and the next presenter is. For one brief, shimmering second, your entire body reconsiders its career choices. Stage fright doesn't care about status. It's not impressed by resumes. It comes for everyone, from first-time nominees to actors with more statues than shelf space. There's a strange comfort in this universality. You catch glimpses of it backstage, the Broadway legend humming nervously, the action star muttering their lines under their breath, the comedian staring fixedly at their shoes, wishing for the invisibility cloak wardrobe forgot to provide. Even the hosts, those effortlessly funny, unnaturally poised MCs, confess just before curtain that their hands are shaking inside those immaculate suit sleeves. Your own symptoms. Classic. Dry mouth, heart hammering, skin buzzing with electricity. You become painfully aware of your feet, which suddenly seem too large for your shoes, and your hands, which you tuck neatly behind your back in the universal gesture for please don't let them see me sweat. You recite your lines for the 1,000th time, convinced you'll forget everything the moment you step into the light. At least your beta blocker is doing its best, maybe not eliminating the fear, but sanding down the sharpest edges. A stage manager walks past, clipboard in hand, murmuring, "You'll be great," in a voice that betrays years of experience soothing anxious stars. You nod, grateful for the ritual of reassurance, even if you know their next words will be exactly the same to the person behind you. You watch a legendary director pace back and forth, giving themselves a silent pep talk. No one is immune, no one is spared. For a moment, you wonder if it was like this for performers centuries ago. Did Shakespeare's actors pace nervously behind the Globe's curtains, palm leaves clutched in one hand, trying not to faint before their big entrance? Did opera divas in powdered wigs sneak sips of courage water before belting out a high C? The tools may change. Herbal tinctures traded for beta blockers, oil lamps for LED spotlights, but the butterflies are timeless. You remember an interview where a beloved A-lister admitted to keeping a lucky coin in their shoe for every performance, not for luck, but for grounding. You check your pocket, yep, there's your lucky object too. A smooth pebble, a folded note, a tiny battered charm. It doesn't actually do anything except remind you that nerves are natural, and in some twisted way a privilege. When your name is finally called, there's a heartbeat of total silence, a strange, suspended calm. Your body moves on autopilot, carrying you out into the brilliant, blinding glow. For all the nerves, all the doubts, you realise something miraculous. The fear is proof you care, that you're still alive, still invested, still passionate, and you walk on, comforted by the knowledge that stage fright is the world's most democratic force. If Meryl can be nervous and win anyway, so can you. There's hope for all of us, one trembling step at a time. The moment arrives, your name is called. As you float to the stage, your mind goes blank except for two things. Don't trip and don't thank your ex. Miraculously, your heart isn't trying to escape through your chest. Thank you, science. There's a strange, out-of-body sensation as you leave your seat. People clap, cameras zoom, and your table mates make encouraging gestures, somewhere between applause and the sign of the cross. You glide past knees and purses, trying not to step on anyone's gown, and suddenly the world condenses into the 10 feet between your seat and the podium. It feels like walking the plank at a very glamorous pirate convention, minus the eye patches and with better lighting. Time slows. You have a fleeting realization that you have absolutely no idea what your own face looks like. Are you smiling? Grimacing? Did you already do that awkward little wave? You hope you look humble, grateful, and not at all like someone who just blacked out for 30 seconds. The stage is a landscape of bright lights, blinking teleprompters, and ominous silence. Every eye in the room, every eye in the world is suddenly on you. Your shoes, so comfortable in the limo, have decided now is the time to pinch, as if reminding you, nothing about this is supposed to be easy. The host flashes you a quick conspiratorial grin, as if to say, "Good luck out there, champ." You reach the podium and grasp it like a lifeline. The applause finally dies down. For a millisecond, you consider just screaming and running off stage, but your feet remain rooted. Instead, you draw a breath, blink, and let your survival instincts take over. You start talking. Words are coming out. Are they the right words? Maybe. You open with a joke. It lands. Or maybe it just lands in your head, but the crowd is smiling, so you press on. You thank the academy or the guild or the secret cabal of people who decide these things. You remember to thank your director, your agent, the entire cast and crew, and that one production assistant who saved you from wardrobe disaster in week 3. You keep one eye on the teleprompter and one ear on the music, terrified of the first ominous note that signals "wrap it up." You try to look composed, but your fingers clutch the envelope like it's the last life raft on the Titanic. At some point your brain throws up a pop quiz. Did you already say your co-star's name? Did you just thank your dog Walker? You can't remember, so you thank them again, just in case. Every sentence is a delicate balancing act. Be heartfelt but not weepy. Be grateful but not grovelling. Be funny but not "this will haunt you on YouTube" funny. The crowd blurs, the clock ticks, and you're pretty sure you can hear your mother's voice from home. Stand up straight. The orchestra stirs. You squeeze in one final breathless thank you to your family, your friends, and anyone else you might have missed in the heat of adrenaline. The applause swells again. You smile, not just because you're happy, but because you survived. You walk off stage, knees wobbly but dignity intact. A stagehand whispers, "Nice job," and you're ushered back into the wings, where a producer hands you your trophy and a bottle of water, and you realise you have no memory of what you just said. But that's the art of the acceptance speech, a high-wire act performed without a net, powered by gratitude, adrenaline, and the hope you didn't just thank your ex on national television. You did it. Somehow you did it. Ever wonder what's actually happening inside that famous head? It's less Zen garden and more chemical intervention. Beta blockers don't fix your life. They just mute the circus music long enough to get you through a speech. Unless you accidentally double dose. Then it's nap time. The story of calm, at least in the award show world, is not one of inner tranquility achieved through deep breathing, ancient yoga, or some kind of secret Hollywood meditation ritual. No, it's more pharmacological than philosophical. That calm smile you see from someone clutching a gold statue, it's probably not their natural aura. It's a little bit of science humming along beneath the skin, keeping things from devolving into a public meltdown on national TV. Beta blockers, technically, beta-adrenergic blocking agents, are about as glamorous as orthopedic shoes. Their job? To block adrenaline, the ancient evolutionary chemical designed to help you run from saber-toothed tigers, and less helpfully, to make you sweat profusely while reciting thank yous on stage. They don't make you happy, or smarter, or funnier. They just stop your heart from pounding like a kick drum every time a camera lens finds your face. The effect is subtle. Your hands, which were trembling like leaves in a hurricane, start to steady. The tightness in your chest eases. That faint, almost electric buzz of impending doom, the kind that usually makes you want to fake a faint and crawl under the nearest table, fades into a background hum. You can hear your own thoughts again, which is both a relief and, depending on the thoughts, a mild curse. Science lesson simplified. Beta blockers block the effects of adrenaline on your body, specifically on your heart and blood vessels. You're still anxious. You're still very aware that millions of people are watching, judging, and possibly live tweeting your every twitch. But your body isn't reacting like you're about to be chased off a cliff by a pack of wolves. It's not magic, it's medicine, and it works most of the time. But here's where the absurdity comes in. No amount of beta blockers can protect you from certain hazards, like forgetting your lines, tripping on a microphone cable, or realizing mid-speech that you left your acceptance notes in the green room. There's no pill for sudden existential dread, or the deep horror of realizing you thanked your ex's cat instead of your own agent. There are side effects, of course. Take a little too much and you may find yourself so calm you accidentally nap mid-conversation. Take too little, and you're back to fighting the cold sweat, shaky hands, and that fun new panic symptom your brain invented just for the occasion. The sweet spot is personal. A balance you achieve after a few trial runs and a lot of frantic Googling. Can you overdose on calm? And beta blockers are not emotional shields. They don't make you braver. They don't help with the voice in your head whispering, "Why are you wearing that?" Or what if you thank the wrong Chris? They just give you the physical stability to do your job, to walk, to talk, to stand in a blinding spotlight and look like you belong there, even when you're one breath away from a meltdown. So the next time you see someone nail a speech, look for the tiny signs, the slightly looser shoulders, the steady grip on the trophy, the calm that looks almost suspicious. Maybe they've found their inner zen, or maybe, just maybe, science is working quietly behind the scenes, turning a potential disaster into a poised, televised miracle. For a few minutes at least, the circus music is silent. Applause, relief, sudden, creeping dread that you may have mispronounced your own movie's name. You retreat to your seat, smile plastered on, quietly debating the merits of faking a bathroom emergency until the night ends. The first thing you feel, of course, is a rush, adrenaline, relief, a wave of "oh thank everything that's over." Your hands, which were perfectly steady at the microphone, now shake just a little as you grip your program and try not to spill water down the front of your silk. For a few seconds, the applause feels like a warm bath, soaking away weeks of anxiety, hours of sweat, and that one random cramp you got from standing perfectly still for too long. But euphoria is a sprinter, not a marathon runner. As you slide back into your seat, the doubts begin to leak in around the edges. Did you really thank everyone you were supposed to thank? Did you forget your director? Your co-star? Your actual mother? The inside of your mouth is suddenly dry, and you imagine every pair of eyes in the room tracking your reaction. Are you humble? Are you grateful? Do you look like someone who absolutely did not just call their agent dad? You glance down the aisle and catch a sympathetic nod from a previous winner, the "I survived" look that every speech giver wears. You want to join them in the secret club of people who survived the most public vulnerability test known to man. But all you can think about is that you might have accidentally thanked the catering staff by name and forgotten your producer. You do a quick mental replay of the speech, but it's all a blur of bright lights, roaring applause, and a strange out-of-body sensation where your mouth moved and words just happened. Your phone buzzes with a flurry of texts, family, friends, your high school English teacher, and inexplicably someone you haven't spoken to since a failed group project in college. All are saying congratulations, but a few slip in the dreaded. "That was so brave." Or loved the part where you went off script. Panic. Did you go off script? You open Twitter, instantly regret it, and decide that social media is a tomorrow problem. Your seat now feels too warm, the air suddenly heavy with the collective energy of hundreds of relieved, anxious, hopeful humans. You try to pay attention as the next category is announced, but your mind is running a marathon. Will the press ask about your speech? Will the after-party be full of people reenacting your awkward joke? You start to wonder if anyone has ever just disappeared after giving their speech, vanished into the night like a grateful but overwhelmed bat. To pass the time, you play a game of fake calm. Smile at the cameras, nod thoughtfully as other winners take the stage, clap enthusiastically even though your hands are still numb. You consider making polite conversation with your seat neighbour, but you know they're also lost in their own internal existential crisis. You are, for these few minutes, united in silent post-speech camaraderie, the "did I really just do that?" support group. The existential dread has a certain flavour, regret mixed with relief, and the faint aftertaste of humility. You tell yourself it's normal. Every winner, every presenter, every surprise nominee has been here. In fact, somewhere deep down, you know you'll be laughing about this in a few weeks, just as soon as your heart rate returns to double digits. Until then, you do what everyone does. You keep your smile fixed, avoid eye contact with the camera operators, and hope no one notices that you're quietly timing your next bathroom escape. And that's the award show life. Glory and dread, back to back, like old friends. But hey, at least you didn't faint. Or did you? You'll check YouTube tomorrow, just in case. It's over before you know it. Someone asks you about your speech and you have no memory of saying words. Congratulations, you just experienced the award show fugue state, now available over the counter. The sensation creeps up on you in the minutes after you return to your seat. There's a blur of applause, a dizzying handshake or two, maybe a hug from the presenter, and then static. Your mind offers you only the faintest scraps. The lights were bright, the podium was far away, and your mouth was definitely moving. But what you said, it's as though someone pressed the mute button on your internal broadcast. You might as well have been giving the State of the Union address in Esperanto. You nod along as people around you beam and offer compliments. That was so genuine, they say. I loved the story about your childhood dog. You laugh politely, all while desperately scanning your memory banks for even the faintest echo of a dog anecdote. Did you thank your agent? Did you accidentally invent a new sibling? Did you quote Nietzsche? It's anyone's guess. Award show amnesia, you learn, is real and wildly democratic. You look around and realise you're not alone. There's another winner nearby, clutching their trophy like a flotation device, wearing the same faraway expression. Every so often, the two of you lock eyes and share a look of mutual, slightly panicked recognition. There should be a support group, speakers anonymous, for when you have no idea what just happened. It's a strange cocktail of adrenaline, nerves, and, yes, possibly that beta blocker still doing crowd control in your circulatory system. Your brain, overloaded by the blinding lights, the crowd, and the pressure, has simply refused to record the event. The technical term might be dissociative episode. You prefer temporarily unplugged for maintenance. The night marches on. You're ushered into new conversations, new photos, new obligations. What was the best part of your speech? A reporter asks, notepad at the ready. You try to be vague. Oh, just being in the moment. You hope it sounds philosophical and not just evasive. Deep down, you pray there wasn't spinach in your teeth or an unscheduled emotional breakdown at the 2-minute mark. Later, at the after-party, you find yourself scrolling through social media, looking for clues about your own performance. You're hoping for a few kind comments, maybe a well-timed meme, but mostly, you're trying to reconstruct your own evening from the digital footprints of others. Someone posts a blurry video. There you are, standing tall, grinning and, oh no, gesturing enthusiastically. Was that part of the plan? You try to match the video to the speech you practiced in the shower for weeks, but it's like comparing jazz to calculus. Other winners share their stories, each one echoing your own. I went on autopilot, someone confesses, sipping champagne. I think I thanked my dry cleaner. Another shrugs. I blacked out after the first joke. No clue what happened after that. It's comforting, in a mildly alarming way, to know that even celebrities experience these little lapses, tiny gaps in memory, lost forever to the fog of showbiz. By the time the night winds down, you've come to accept the gaps. Maybe that's just part of the magic. Moments so overwhelming, so charged, your brain decides to let muscle memory and sheer hope do the heavy lifting. In the end, you remember the applause, the relief, and that odd sense of floating outside yourself while your public persona handled things. So if someone ever asks, what was going through your mind up there, you can honestly answer, absolutely nothing, and somehow that's enough. The award show fugue state, the most exclusive blackout in Hollywood, and nobody even gets carded at the door. The after-party, where celebrities unwind by collectively pretending none of them just survived a shared trauma. There's laughter, more calm beverages, and subtle nods of respect between everyone who made it through the night without a public meltdown. The room is buzzing, but in a softer way than the main event. Gone is the electric charge of potential disaster. Here, the current is warm and mellow, the social equivalent of slipping into hotel slippers after hours in patent leather shoes. The lighting is dim, flattering to skin and egos alike. The music is always just loud enough to prevent actual confessions, but quiet enough to allow for performative air kisses and the repeated exchange of compliments that sound a lot like apologies. You glide through the crowd, half glamorous guest, half sleep-deprived survivor. There's a makeshift buffet groaning with foods you weren't allowed to eat for the past month. Real cheese, honest-to-goodness bread, and desserts that might as well be illegal. The first bite is less nourishment and more emotional exorcism. There is a collective sigh as the carbs hit, and a palpable drop in pretense as people abandon napkin dabbing for open-mouthed delight. Small groups gather by the bar, quietly toasting just making it through. It's the unofficial support group meeting for those with a recent history of stage fright, teleprompter-induced blackout, or spontaneous sweating. You recognise the look in their eyes, the shared relief of people who only hours ago were calculating the physics of their own escape from the red carpet. Here, laughter comes easily. A bad punchline is met with genuine giggles because after tonight, everyone's bar for what constitutes disaster is set spectacularly low. You overhear snippets of post-mortem. I totally forgot to thank my publicist, but I did remember my dog, someone confesses, face flushed but smiling. I think I made up a new award category, another admits, already halfway through their second glass of bubbly. Someone else swears they've spotted at least 3 other winners surreptitiously Googling their own speech, or just to make sure it happened. The conversation turns from anxiety to absurdity. You find yourself swapping stories about wardrobe malfunctions, mispronounced names, and that time a microphone tried to eat someone's dress. The sense of camaraderie is overwhelming. Even the most famously aloof A-lister is, tonight, a little bit human, a little bit undone by the thrill and terror of being so very, very visible. Someone starts the best speech fails drinking game, and before you know it, the group is howling with laughter over tales of unplanned confessions and accidental declarations of love. There's comfort in knowing you weren't the only one who nearly thanked the wrong spouse or gave a shout-out to a pet goldfish. Everyone is a little bit less guarded now, a little more prone to inside jokes, and grateful for every spilled drink that doesn't end in a trending hashtag. By midnight, shoes have been abandoned under tables, jackets slung over chairs, and someone has started an impromptu karaoke session with whatever song was last trending on TikTok. You watch as the night's most composed lets loose, belting out off-key lyrics with a look of blissful relief. There is no judgment here, only respect for anyone brave enough to survive both the ceremony and the after-party, with their sense of humour intact. As the night winds down, you realise that the after-party isn't just a celebration. It's a gentle exhale after a marathon of holding your breath. You found your tribe among the anxious, the exhausted, and the quietly triumphant. Here, perfection is irrelevant. Presence, resilience, and the ability to laugh at yourself are all that matter. You step outside into the cool air full of carbs, stories, and the easy camaraderie of people who faced the same absurd circus and lived to tell the tale. The after-party may end, but the strange comfort of shared survival lingers on, like the perfect note at the end of a wild, wonderful, anxiety-filled song. You wake up surrounded by empty water bottles, remnants of a spray tan, and a vague sense of existential unease. You check your phone, dozens of texts, a few regretful tweets, and one message from your mom asking why you didn't smile more. Your eyelids feel like they were replaced with sandpaper. The room is dim, and yet somehow still too bright. You grope for your silk sleep mask like it's a parachute, and wonder briefly whether it's possible to pull a muscle in your self-esteem. You're not hungover in the traditional sense, no one at the after-party saw you double-fisting tequila, but your emotions have clearly staged a coup. Joy and dread have formed a coalition government, and they're running your nervous system like an amateur improv troupe. The first wave of awareness hits. You were at the awards last night. You gave a speech. You wore something that required double-sided tape and prayer. And now, here you are, in a robe, with your lashes stuck to a throw pillow and your dignity resting somewhere near the minibar. Your phone buzzes again. More messages, some congratulatory, some from vague acquaintances pretending you're close now. One from your college roommate who didn't even know you were nominated, asking if you can get them into Elton John's after-party next year. You stare blankly at a tweet that simply reads, "That speech, wow." No emoji, no punctuation, just vague enough to spiral about for at least 4 hours. You open the camera roll, mistake. There's a blurry picture of you holding the award upside down, another of you mid-speech, eyes wide, mouth open, looking like someone just told you the Wi-Fi password out loud. There's a clip of you dancing badly at the after-party, captioned by a friend as celebrating or short-circuiting. You set the phone face down. It's too early for that kind of honesty. Somewhere in the apartment, a piece of shapewear lies in a sad little heap on the floor like a ghost that gave up. You shuffle to the mirror. The remnants of your red carpet look are still faintly visible. Glitter on your collarbone, eyelash glue clinging to hope, and the ghost of a spray tan clinging to your knees like regret. You sip a lukewarm bottle of hotel water and let the emotions roll in. Did I say everything I wanted to say? Did I overshare? Was it brave? Was it cringe? Is brave cringe a new aesthetic? You scroll through social media again, trying to gauge whether you're a hero or a meme. It's a toss-up. Some people loved your speech. Others think you misquoted your own movie. Someone made a supercut of you blinking. You pause on a still of your face and wonder for a moment if you'll ever look that calm again. You weren't calm, of course, but thank you, beta blockers. And then, like an emotional barometer tipping toward clear skies, a text from someone you actually care about arrives. You are amazing. Proud of you. Also, please hydrate. You exhale. A real exhale. The hangover starts to lift slightly. You survived a night of high stakes, high heels, and high-resolution cameras. You did the thing. You spoke into the void of millions of eyes and didn't combust. Sure, you might have blacked out a little. Sure, your mum thinks you could have smiled more. But you were present. You were honest. You were somehow enough. So you draw the curtains, climb back into bed, and let your body return to something resembling human. You'll deal with the interviews later. For now, you've earned this moment of stillness. The awards are over, and all that's left to do is recover your soul, one nap at a time. Time for the ritual debrief. Your publicist calls, lists what went well, and very gently flags the part where you called the director dad. You nod solemnly, vowing to never speak in public again until next awards season. The post-show debrief is like emotional TSA. Nothing too sharp, nothing too large, and everything must fit into a tidy little narrative that the internet can digest without choking. Your publicist is calm, seasoned, and possibly powered entirely by oat milk and sheer willpower. They've already combed through social media, press reactions, audience polls, slow-motion red carpet replays, and 3 astrology blogs just in case Mercury was retrograde during your speech. Their voice is always cheerful, but firm, like a kindergarten teacher explaining that, while your macaroni art was very creative, maybe next time don't glue the table. They start with the positives. You looked fantastic. The dress photographed well from every angle. That joke about your childhood hamster really humanized you. You murmur grateful affirmations, not entirely sure you even mentioned a hamster. Then comes the careful pivot. So tiny note, they say, as if about to compliment your sock choice. During your speech, you may have slightly referred to your director as Dad. You groan. Not again. You try to explain that it was meant as a term of endearment, a heartfelt nod to mentorship, a slip of the tongue after 3 days of no carbs and one too many beta blockers. Your publicist chuckles gently and changes the subject, with the speed of someone who's trained for live crisis containment. Next up is meme management. There's already a gif of you blinking too slowly, currently captioned when your anxiety meds hit mid-sentence. It has 40,000 likes and rising. Your publicist assures you this is actually a win. Relatable content performs very well post-show. You make a note to blink at more strategic intervals next time. Then comes the fact-check phase. You apparently invented a word during your speech, emotion-astic, which is now trending. The team is considering leaning into it as a brand. You suggest printing it on throw pillows. The publicist doesn't say no. They slide into press coverage. The Hollywood Reporter says you were unexpectedly grounded. That's either a compliment or a very polite way of saying you didn't fall over. Vogue loved your outfit. One tabloid noted your resting panic face, but your publicist already got them to update it to intensely focused. Win. Somewhere during the call, there's a brief lull, just enough time for your own self-doubt to creep in. You ask, did it all go okay? Your publicist doesn't pause. You didn't cry, you didn't swear, and you didn't trip. That's a gold star kind of night. You take a breath. You're not trending for the wrong reasons. No one stormed the stage. Your ex hasn't subtweeted you yet. It's all fine. Better than fine. Manageable. Your publicist closes the call with the calm authority of someone who's already preparing for next season. Take the day to rest. Drink water. Don't engage with trolls. And if anyone asks about the dad thing, just say it was a creative metaphor. You agree, relieved, and hang up. You flop back into bed, phone sliding onto your chest like a tiny buzzing reminder that fame has a follow-up period. The debrief might be over, but the emotional digestion is just beginning. You pull the covers over your head, equal parts mortified and proud. And deep down, you know it's only a matter of time before you're back in another fitting, practicing another speech, telling yourself you'll keep it simple, only to end up thanking your barista, crying on stage, and yes, possibly calling someone else dad. But for now you survived, and in Hollywood, that's a perfect outcome. Somewhere a headline reads so-and-so's shocking calm at the Oscars, and you realise your prescription is now a trend. Your agent calls to say you've inspired an op-ed about mindful pharmacology. Your legacy is safe for now. You didn't set out to become a poster child for medically assisted composure. But here you are, front page of an entertainment blog, Mid-speech photo captioned "Grace Under Pressure, How They Stayed Cool While Winning Big." The article speculates wildly. Did you meditate for 72 hours beforehand? Were you trained in military breathing techniques? Is there a secret oxygen tent backstage filled with lavender-scented fog and herbal chanting? No, you just took a beta blocker, but no one wants to hear that. So the narrative begins to twist, not into something dishonest, just editorially enhanced. A celebrity wellness coach is quoted describing your aura as exceptionally grounded. A gossip columnist refers to you as a beacon of tranquility in a sea of emotional turbulence. Someone on TikTok claims you blinked in Morse code and spelled out a message of universal peace. Your team moves quickly. "Let's lean into this," your publicist says, eyes gleaming with the kind of enthusiasm usually reserved for sudden engagement announcements or surprise album drops. You're not just calm, you're consciously composed. Soon, you're being pitched as part of a new wave of Hollywood wellness icons, people who don't just do yoga, but embody serenity. You start seeing your own face on mood boards next to phrases like emotional mastery and chill is the new powerful. There's talk of a podcast, a subscription box, a possible guest column in Goop. Your agent calls. "We've been approached by 3 pharmaceutical companies and 1 herbal supplement startup. Also, someone wants you to model for a weighted blanket campaign." You ask if the weighted blanket comes with residuals. They say, "Of course it does. You're calm now." Calm sells. Meanwhile, the internet is on fire. A thread breaks down your red carpet body language with the precision of a CIA interrogation analysis. Note the lack of upper lip sweat, one user writes. They're clearly doing the 4-7-8 breathing method, or Xanax. A beauty blogger theorizes your glow is from a revolutionary new inner peace serum. Another guesses, "Honestly, I think they just don't care anymore, and that's the most powerful look of all." And then come the op-eds. One is titled, "What if we all took beta blockers before important conversations?" Another wonders, has this celebrity finally broken the stigma around performance anxiety? A third simply reads, "The case for pharmaceutical poise. You're not sure whether to be flattered or deeply, deeply concerned." A journalist reaches out to request an interview about the intersection of fame, vulnerability, and pharmaceutical resilience. You nod slowly and agree, knowing full well you'll mostly talk about your dog, your stylist, and your new love of herbal tea. But still, you're now an unintentional thought leader. You've turned stage fright into a movement. You've branded anxiety relief. Your panic, it turns out, had PR potential. You sit back, phone in hand, and exhale. None of this was the plan. You just wanted to get through the night without sobbing into the mic or doing that thing where your hands shake so hard you accidentally salute the orchestra. But hey, if the world wants to believe you've mastered the art of elegant stillness, who are you to argue? Let them write the headlines. Let them spin the calm. Meanwhile, you'll just keep doing what you've always done, powering through, heart rate stable, hands dry, smile vague, and pill discreetly tucked under the tongue. Celebrity status, achieved, with side effects. In the days after, you question everything. Should you just lean into the anxiety next time? Maybe try interpretive dance instead of a speech. Your therapist says it's normal. Your manager just wants you to keep winning. The euphoria of the win is wearing off, and the endless debriefs and recycled memes are finally slowing down. You've had 3 full nights of sleep, 1 slightly undercooked omelette, and the beginnings of an existential spiral about whether performance-enhancing calm makes you a fraud or just a person trying not to collapse in public. Your brain launches a full philosophical investigation. Did the beta blocker help you access your best self? Or did it just prevent you from crying mid-sentence and shouting "I love you, Mom" into a crowd of strangers? Would you have done fine without it? Or would you now be trending for saying something like emotional elasticity instead of emotional elegance? You stare at the little orange bottle on your bathroom counter like it's a crystal ball. Inside, chemical courage, or a very quiet emotional bouncer, keeping your inner chaos from rushing the stage. You pick it up, hold it like a question. It doesn't answer. Everyone has an opinion. Your therapist leans back in their chair, nods supportively, and reminds you that managing anxiety isn't failure, it's maintenance. "You wore shoes, right?" they ask. "You didn't go barefoot to the show. So why should your nervous system be expected to raw dog national television?" Good point. Your manager, meanwhile, has no time for philosophical nuance. They text in all caps. Awards. Season is a marathon, not a sprint. Do what works. It's hard to argue with someone who once built a schedule around your favourite probiotic, But the doubt creeps in anyway. Would the audience have loved the real you? The unfiltered, slightly trembling, deeply sincere version who occasionally forgets where the microphone is? Or do they only applaud because you looked serene and didn't have visible armpit stains? You try to imagine what it would have been like without the beta blocker. Would you have gripped the podium like a life raft? Cried during the thank yous? Done that weird thing where your voice climbs 2 octaves because your diaphragm forgot it has a job? You consider going cold turkey next time. Maybe write your speech on your hand. Maybe start a breathing practice. Maybe just scream gently into a velvet throw pillow right before they call your name. You look up alternative methods: peppermint oil, hypnotherapy, power posing. One article suggests imagining the audience as a giant golden retriever. You try it. It doesn't help. Then there's the fear that now you need it, that the pill has become your tiny prescription-shaped security blanket. What if one day it doesn't work? What if you build a tolerance? What if your calm is revoked by the pharmacy gods? Still, you can't deny the facts. You stood on stage, under pressure, and delivered. You made people laugh. You thanked the right people. You survived. And no one, not your peers, not your fans, not even your mum, once she got over the lack of smiling, questioned the authenticity of your gratitude. Maybe it wasn't about the pill. Maybe it was about giving yourself permission to show up, slightly medicated and fully human, to a moment that never stopped being terrifying just because people wore nice clothes. So you tuck the bottle away in the drawer, not out of shame, but out of choice. Maybe you'll use it again. Maybe you won't. Maybe calm, like courage, looks different for everyone. And maybe, just maybe, the real win wasn't the trophy. It was finding a way to stand still without falling apart. Of course, a controversy breaks out. Twitter is ablaze with arguments over whether beta blockers are performance-enhancing, performance-diminishing, or just another Hollywood affectation. You remain blissfully above it all, mostly because you're still too calm to care. It starts innocently enough. A wellness podcast does a segment titled Beta Blockers, the New Celebrity Crutch, featuring a host who hasn't spoken above a whisper since 2017 and pronounces pharmaceutical like it's a slur. They question whether it's authentic to win an award while on medication. You listen for 12 seconds before remembering you're not legally required to care about anyone's podcast. Then, a blue-check health influencer posts a 12-part Instagram carousel called Calm Should Come From Within. It features vague science, multiple fonts, and a close-up of a mug that says vulnerability is strength. You wonder if this person has ever given a live speech in heels with 700 cameras aimed at their paws. By noon, the takes are multiplying. Hot, cold, and barely lukewarm. Beta blockers are the new Botox, one person screams. This is big pharma infiltrating the arts, someone else claims, while linking to an MLM scheme involving magnesium tea. If you can't perform without meds, should you even be performing, another asks, confidently ignoring the fact that most of human civilization has been built on caffeine and denial. You briefly trend under the hashtag Beta Blockergate. A wellness brand tweets a photo of you mid-speech with the caption, "Real peace comes from adaptogens." You screenshot it and send it to your group chat, adding, "Please bury me in lion's mane powder." Your friends respond with gifs of fire extinguishers and people meditating through explosions. Somewhere, a pundit compares your beta blocker use to doping in the Olympics, while a retired stage actor declares on morning television, "In my day, we trembled through our monologues with dignity." You quietly Google their IMDb. It's mostly soap operas and a cameo as unsettled butler. But the backlash doesn't stop with the internet. There's a think piece in a legacy newspaper titled, "Has Calm Killed the Art of Vulnerability?" followed by a rebuttal, "Calm is a human right." Then a third, very confusing article that just quotes your speech and ends with the line, "We're all medicated in different ways." Meanwhile, your own inbox is a mix of supportive messages and inquiries from journalists, hoping you'll publicly address the controversy. Your publicist drafts a very delicate response. You reject it. Then she drafts another. You reject that one too. Finally, you just post a single photo. You, sipping chamomile tea in a robe, captioned, "Still calm, still employed." It gets 500,000 likes. You don't explain yourself. Because really, what's to explain? You didn't take beta blockers to cheat. You took them to function, to breathe, to speak without vibrating out of your own skin. And let's be honest, if you'd broken into tears, forgotten your lines, or fainted on stage, The same people screaming fake calm would now be dissecting your emotional instability with even more glee. Still, the discourse rolls on, a snowball made of self-righteousness and hashtags. People who couldn't define a adrenergic receptor if it was tattooed on their face now claim expert status. Everyone has an opinion, and most of them are uninformed but very, very loud. And yet you stay centered, grounded. Because beta blockers don't just help during speeches, they help when the world has decided your nervous system is up for public debate. You sleep, you eat carbs, you text your therapist a thumbs up. The storm passes, and in its wake, you're still here. Calm, unbothered, and very much not explaining yourself to a wellness blogger named Sage, with a background in interpretive dance and 0 medical credentials. You didn't break the system, you just found a quieter way through it. Every year, one celebrity brags about going beta blocker free. They give a trembling speech about embracing vulnerability, which instantly becomes a meme. You respect their courage, but quietly clutch your pill like a lucky penny. They mean well, truly. They stand up there, visibly shaking, voice cracking like a middle school clarinet solo, and declare with wild-eyed conviction that they wanted to feel everything tonight. The audience claps slowly, cautiously, like they're watching someone juggle flaming swords with one eye closed, and in that moment, the brave beta blocker-free performer becomes both inspirational and oddly terrifying. Afterward, the press calls it raw. They don't clarify whether they mean emotionally raw, like a heartfelt poem, or raw like an undercooked chicken breast. Either way, the headlines are glowing, the power of nerves, tears are the new confidence, courage has a quiver, and sure, you applaud from your seat, because it does take courage. Real, unfiltered, puddle of sweat on the linoleum courage. But as you watch them shiver through the final thank you to their high school drama teacher, you feel an involuntary pulse check on your wrist and make a mental note to refill your prescription. The internet, of course, eats it up. A video clip goes viral. They stumble, correct themselves, pause, cry, restart. A voiceover on TikTok adds dramatic music and the words, "When you dare to show up as you are." The comments range from iconic to, "This is why I could never be famous." And then, inevitably, someone tweets, "Finally, a celebrity who doesn't rely on chemicals." You scroll past this while calmly sipping tea. Organic, sure, but you still took the pill. Backstage there's a quiet split. Some admire them, some pity them. A few send texts that read, "You okay?" One fellow nominee whispers, "I tried that once. Cried so hard I thanked my 6th grade gym teacher and then fell off the stage." There's a reason most of you prefer to show vulnerability in controlled, well-lit environments, under the supervision of legal counsel and a makeup artist. Later, an exclusive interview drops. The Raw speaker describes the moment as transcendent, liberating, and absolutely terrifying, but in a good way, like skydiving or childbirth. They mention wanting to start a movement called #FeelEverything. They say they're done hiding behind calm. They say they want to cry on more stages. They say this while visibly clenching their jaw. You nod respectfully. Then you book a follow-up with your therapist. There's nothing wrong with going raw. There's also nothing wrong with going strategically medicated. You can honor your emotions and honor your sweat glands. Both are valid. One just happens to let you walk to the stage without blacking out or dry heaving into a floral arrangement. And yet, for a fleeting second, you wonder, could you do it without the beta blocker? Would your voice tremble in that romantic, award-winning way? Would you shake with passion instead of panic? Or would you spontaneously combust under the heat of 5 million streaming eyeballs? You'll never know. Because the truth is, your calm isn't the absence of emotion. It's the buffer that lets you have emotion without setting the building on fire. You're not hiding your feelings. You're just giving them a seatbelt. So the next time someone proclaims they're feeling everything, you'll smile and applaud, quietly, supportively, from a safe distance. And when it's your turn, you'll take your pill, take the stage, and feel just enough. Because everyone has their process. Theirs is raw, yours is regulated. The biggest secret of all, what happens if you forget to take it? Legends say there are still celebrities wandering backstage, locked in an endless panic spiral, destined to haunt the green room until the next award season. Sleep tight. It's a fear so deep, so primal, that no one talks about it above a whisper. You can forget your earrings. You can forget your speech. You can even forget your manager's birthday once. But the beta blocker, that is the line between graceful poise and full-scale existential collapse in Armani. There are stories. Of course, everyone in the industry knows at least one, the actor who suddenly started quoting Shakespeare mid-acceptance speech, not because they were inspired, but because their fight-or-flight response activated and they time-travelled to sophomore English. Or the pop star who fainted backstage and woke up thanking a ficus for their support. Or the beloved character actor who tried to climb into a lighting rig because they were just trying to get a better view. Forgetting the beta blocker is the celebrity version of walking on stage naked. It's the performance equivalent of dreaming you're back in high school, it's final exams, and you've studied for the wrong subject. Except instead of algebra, it's your entire emotional stability. The symptoms are immediate. A surge of adrenaline, a heartbeat you can hear in your eyeballs, sweaty palms, dry mouth, wet everything else, and a rapidly escalating sense that you may, at any moment, forget your name and begin speaking in ancient tongues. Some say the body enters a fugue state, others claim time dilates. One famous television host once swore they blacked out, walked on stage, delivered a flawless monologue, and only came to halfway through a standing ovation, with no memory of what just happened and their fly unzipped the entire time. Publicists have emergency protocols. There's a calm kit in most A-lister green rooms, mints, tissues, whisper affirmations printed on recycled cardstock, and yes, a backup beta blocker taped to the inside of a Chanel compact. There are assistants whose only job is to ask, "Did you take it?" at timed intervals, right after makeup, right before shoes, and 10 minutes before go time. Still, people forget. In the chaos of stylists, glam squads, misplaced earrings, and last-minute phone calls from a producer who wants you to cut the word trauma from your speech, it's easy to overlook a tiny pill. And when that happens, the change is visible. You can see it in the eyes, a widening, a slight tremble. The sudden look of someone who has just realised they're naked in the emotional wind, holding nothing but a satin clutch and a vague memory of their talking points. Veterans know to step in. A co-star will casually walk over, hand you a glass of water, and gently whisper, "Breathe in for 4, out for 7. If you're lucky, someone has a spare." The ultimate act of celebrity solidarity, passing a beta blocker like it's a breath mint before Judgment Day. But sometimes it's too late, and so the legend persists, that somewhere, deep beneath the stage, past the racks of wardrobe malfunctions and prop mix-ups, there's a corridor known only to the brave. There you may encounter the ghosts of ceremonies past, celebrities who forgot, panicked, and never truly came back. They wander the halls rehearsing monologues no one asked for, clutching invisible trophies, and endlessly whispering lean, "Of course, it's just a myth." Probably. But just in case, tonight, before your next big moment, double-check your pocket, open the compact, ask your assistant, pat down your stylist if necessary, because in Hollywood, calm is currency, and forgetting the source of yours is how the haunting begins. Nothing humbles an A-lister faster than the award show bathroom queue. You find yourself sandwiched between an Oscar winner humming nervously and a sitcom star applying under-eye concealer in the mirror. The shared glance says it all. No matter your IMDb credits, everyone's just hoping they don't get caught muttering their speech to a toilet paper roll. The bathroom line at an awards show is the great equalizer. Your gown may be couture, your teeth bleached within an inch of their lives, and your anxiety chemically managed, but you still have to wait. There are no velvet ropes here, no VIP stalls, just the solemn march of nervously bouncing feet and desperate internal calculations about whether you can hold it until commercial break. You hear everything in that line, someone whispering affirmations, someone else frantically Googling sweat-proof microphone tape. One person, definitely nominated, practicing their surprised face in the mirror like their career depends on it. And honestly, it kind of does. The lighting is merciless. No ring lights, no filters, just the industrial glow of institutional overheads, exposing every pore and every life decision. You lock eyes with your reflection, your makeup's holding, your collarbone glow is still glistening, but your soul? Slightly cracked around the edges. The stall doors creak open with the gravity of fate. People emerge visibly changed, some triumphant, some broken, all slightly dewier than they went in. One person mutters, "It's like a spa if spas were terrifying and smelled like hairspray and nerves." Someone else drops their cue cards into the sink and silently screams into a monogrammed clutch. There's always at least one bathroom friendship formed. Two strangers bonding over the trauma of trying to pee in a garment with 84 hidden zippers and zero forgiveness. You help each other adjust straps, fix eyeliner, and psych yourselves up for whatever nightmare awaits outside. Cameras, speeches, judgment, possible fainting. Sometimes someone cries. Not in a dramatic mascara-streaked breakdown kind of way. Just a small private leak of panic. It's fine. No one asks questions in here. The bathroom is sacred. A confessional without the judgment. A bunker made of tile and tolerance. And then, just when you're almost at the front, a producer rushes in and says they're about to announce your category. Time becomes elastic. Your bladder negotiates with your dignity. Do you go back out and risk giving your speech with the poise of someone harbouring a small internal tsunami? Or do you demand your moment of porcelain peace? You opt to stay. You rush in, perform your business with the speed of a frightened raccoon, and burst back out, flushed, flustered, and vaguely proud. A bathroom attendant nods solemnly as if to say, "You did what you had to do." As you leave, a fellow nominee catches your eye. You both know the truth. No red carpet interview, no standing ovation, no perfectly scripted acceptance speech will ever be as vulnerable as that 2-minute panic in front of the mirror under fluorescent lighting. Later that night, someone wins, someone loses, someone goes viral for mispronouncing cinematography. But the moment everyone remembers, the real, unfiltered, raw, human moment happened in the bathroom line. Because it's not just where legends are made, it's where they're reminded. Under the gowns, the grooming, and the carefully calibrated charisma, they're all just people. People with weak bladders, shaky hands, and dreams that sometimes leak out through their waterproof mascara. And sometimes, all it takes to survive the spotlight is a bathroom stall, a stranger's smile, and a whisper of, "You've got this," through the scent of lavender soap and barely contained dread. In a cruel twist of fate, you're temporarily ousted from your plush seat by a perfectly coiffed seat filler who looks more comfortable than you do. As you pace backstage with the other displaced celebs, you realise fame is fleeting, but awkward small talk with strangers in tuxedos is forever. On the plus side, you've just met a pop star who's equally anxious about getting her seat back. No one warns you about this part. You've survived the red carpet, navigated the green room, braved the bathroom line, but now you've fallen victim to the most humbling of all award show realities, the temporary unseating. It happens during a commercial break. You're whisked away for an interview, a bathroom sprint, or to silently scream into a velvet curtain. You return minutes later to find your assigned seat, now occupied by a seat filler, a young, immaculately dressed civilian with the posture of royalty and the expression of someone who has rehearsed looking unfazed for months. You hesitate. Do you explain who you are? Show your seat card? Whisper, "I swear I belong here"? But there's no time. The lights are back on, the camera pans the audience, and the show must go on, with or without your actual body in that chair. You're guided to a holding zone, which is just a euphemism for celebrity purgatory. A dim corridor filled with glamorous wanderers, holding clutch bags and bottled water like lost souls waiting for a bus that only sometimes comes. There's no hierarchy here. Oscar winners, pop stars, and breakout indie darlings are all united in the one thing they fear most, being forgotten by the seating chart. The conversations are strange and halting. You stand in a cluster with people who will technically recognise each other but are too unsure to say it out loud. "Loved your work," someone mutters. "Was that your dog in that movie?" someone else asks, completely wrong but charmingly earnest. The pop star beside you is visibly sweating but smiling. "I think my seat filler is doing better than me," she whispers. They look confident. You nod solemnly. You know that look. It's the gaze of someone who has never been nominated and therefore can't be disappointed. You peek back into the theatre just in time to catch a wide shot of your aisle. There's your seat. There's your seat filler. She's nodding thoughtfully, like she's deeply moved by the best sound editing montage. You're impressed and threatened. Backstage, a handler assures you that you'll be returned to your seat shortly, which in award show terms could mean 3 minutes or 3 eternities. You watch as another celebrity is summoned to reclaim their chair. They walk out like a game show contestant returning from exile. The rest of you applaud softly. You hope your moment will come soon. Eventually it does. You're ushered back to your seat just before a high-stakes category. The seat filler rises smoothly, gracefully, like a benevolent ghost, and slips away with zero drama. Not a wrinkle in sight. You slide back into your chair with all the confidence of someone re-entering society after being left on read. Your neighbour leans over and says, "That filler was delightful. I told them a secret I've never told anyone." You smile politely, wondering if your career has just been replaced by a 24-year-old with strong cheekbones and a theatre degree. But then the lights dim. A spotlight hits the stage. Someone famous walks out and opens an envelope, and just like that you're back. Because in this room, everything can change in a heartbeat. Your category, your career, your chair. But for a brief moment, in the shifting tide of fame and filler, you were part of the show again, even if someone else sat there better. You step up to present an award, only to realise the teleprompter is moving at the speed of regret. As words blur together, nominees are Courageous Cucumber, your mind races. Beta blockers may keep your hands steady, but nothing can save you from mispronouncing cinematography in front of 3 million people. The lights are hotter than the surface of the sun. You're suddenly very aware of your eyelids, your knees, and the fact that you might not remember how to read anymore. There are 2 screens in front of you. One is slightly too high, the other is slightly too fast. You squint, and now you're not sure if you're introducing an award or accidentally confessing to a crime. This wasn't supposed to be difficult. You rehearsed. You practiced your sincere but sparkly tone in the mirror. You wrote pause for laughter in your notes. Your stylist approved the outfit. Your publicist approved your posture. Your therapist approved your breathing technique. But no one warned you that the teleprompter might go rogue like a caffeinated Roomba. You try to stay calm. And now, the nominees for cheese photography? No, wait, cinematography. Right. Of course. Your brain catches up 2 seconds too late, which is roughly a lifetime in live television. Your co-presenter, somehow immune to panic, reads flawlessly, oozing poise like they were born in a tuxedo. You hate them. Briefly, politely, deeply. You laugh nervously to cover the fact that you may have just skipped an entire sentence. The audience laughs with you, or at you, hard to say. There's a moment, just one, where you catch your reflection in the monitor. You look radiant, sure, but also a little like someone who just realised they're reading an IKEA instruction manual in public, and yet you soldier on, because this is what award shows are made of. Chaos dressed in sequins. You blink rapidly, hoping your eyes will sync with the scrolling text like a slot machine landing on jackpot. They don't. You mumble something that sounds vaguely like English. The nominees are incredibly talented falconers. No, wait, filmmakers. You smile again, wider this time, hoping it reads as professional, and not "please pull me off stage with a hook." The nominees appear on screen, the audience claps. You survive the worst of it, only mildly drenched in cold sweat and emotional static. Then comes the name, the one you have to read out loud, the one with 14 syllables, 3 silent letters, and a pronunciation guide you absolutely forgot to memorize. You pause, you breathe, you pray, and then you say it. Not confidently, not clearly, but you say something. It may or may not be the correct pronunciation, but you say it with your whole chest. That counts for something, right? The winner takes the stage. You step aside. You have done your duty. Barely. Backstage, someone pats you on the back and says, "You crushed it." You know they're lying. But it's the kind of lie you appreciate. Warm, familiar, like a weighted blanket made of delusion. Later, the internet will meme the moment. A slow-motion clip of you squinting at the teleprompter. A TikTok voiceover that turns your misreading into an inspirational quote. One account suggests your delivery was deliberately avant-garde. You don't correct them. Because the truth is, everyone lives in fear of the teleprompter. It is the final boss of award shows, silent, scroll-happy, and entirely indifferent to your rehearsal. You took it on, you made it through. You may have butchered cinematography, but you did it with grace. Mostly. You're nearly to your table, but first, you must survive the selfie line. Publicists herd their clients with all the efficiency of airport security, and flashbulbs erupt like paparazzi popcorn. You smile, pose, and try not to look like you're calculating the angle that hides your nervous jaw clench. Every selfie is a mini performance, but at least your hands aren't shaking this year. There is no formal announcement for this gauntlet. No map, no escape route. It just happens, suddenly and all at once, as you make your way through a narrow corridor flanked by agents, handlers, and people with professional-grade ring lights attached to their iPhones. You've just hit the red carpet part 2, the personal pan version. Here, selfies are currency. and you're being drafted into 100 people's content calendars whether you like it or not. You try to look natural, which immediately makes you look like you've forgotten how to stand. Your smile is hovering somewhere between charming and dental ad. A flash goes off. Someone says, "Cute," and then turns away, leaving you blinking into the void like a ring light-scorched deer. A reality star, you vaguely recognize gestures you into frame. You obey like a well-trained awards show dog. The selfie is taken, you're tagged, you're cropped, you carry on. Another request. This time, it's someone's teenage niece who somehow slipped past security with more confidence than your publicist. She calls you by the wrong name, but you still lean in, smile, and give her a peace sign like you're not 2 seconds from emotionally combusting. You're surrounded by professionals who have trained for this. Pursed lips, perfect tilt, flawless lighting instincts. Meanwhile, you're debating whether to go chin up, confident, or chin down, mysterious, and ending up somewhere in accidentally confronting. Your beta blocker is doing its best. Your heart rate is steady. Your hands, mercifully, are dry. But your jaw? Locked like a bank vault trying to protect national secrets. You wonder briefly if there's such a thing as selfie-specific Botox. You manage a few successful interactions. You even deliver a laugh. Not your real laugh, but the soft exhale one that implies you're having a good time in a photogenic, magazine-appropriate way. But then the swarm intensifies. You're trapped in a Bermuda Triangle formed by a TikTok star, a prestige TV actor, and a rogue YouTuber with an emotional support tripod. There's no forward path. There's no backward path. There's only pose, smile, rotate, repeat. You accidentally step into the background of a selfie in progress and are immediately asked to scooch. You scooch. You're not too proud. Not anymore. A handler finally appears and tries to usher you forward, but they too are pulled into the whirlpool, interrupted by someone's client who insists you just need one more with the backlight for Instagram stories. You start to wonder if you'll ever reach your seat. If this is your life now, a blinking limbo of pearly whites and subtly flexed jawlines. You feel your soul floating slightly above your body. From up there, you look fantastic. If only the camera caught that angle. Eventually the flashbulbs dim. The line thins. The pack breaks. Your publicist rescues you like a Navy SEAL trained in conflict selfies, and you're finally, released into the calm embrace of your assigned chair. You sit, you exhale, you check your phone. 17 new photos of your face already exist on the internet. In one, your eyes are closed. In another, your hand appears to be saluting a ghost. And in one glorious frame, you actually look relaxed. That one gets 1,000 likes in 3 minutes. Because the secret truth of the selfie gauntlet is this. No one remembers how awkward it felt, only how good you looked surviving it. The unthinkable happens. Someone hands you the wrong envelope. For a split second, your soul tries to exit your body. But with a practiced inhale and the grace of a seasoned beta blocker veteran, you smile serenely, stall with an anecdote about your amazing journey, and hope a producer sprints in before you congratulate Best Sound Mixing for winning Best Picture. Time slows to the speed of embarrassment. You stare at the card in your hand like it's written in ancient Sumerian. The words don't compute, they don't match the vibe. You know, deep in your bones, that this is not the right winner. You glance at your co-presenter. They're smiling, nodding, completely unaware they're about to walk into the emotional equivalent of stepping on a Lego in front of millions. You smile back because panic must never show itself. This is an award show. The only thing worse than a mistake is the acknowledgement of a mistake. Your fingers are trembling slightly. Internally. Externally, they are composed, dignified, and gently gripping an envelope that holds a ticking bomb. The crowd is silent, expectant, unknowing. You could just read the name, push through, let the chaos fall where it may. But your frontal lobe, slightly fogged, but still operational thanks to the pharmaceutical equivalent of a warm hug, decides to stall. You begin to speak, not about the winner, not yet. You mention how honoured you are to be presenting. You reflect vaguely on what this moment means. You praise the nominees, the craft, the magic of storytelling. You thank the Academy. You're now in a public-facing fugue state of inspirational stalling. The stage manager is offstage blinking in Morse code. A producer is running toward you like someone trying to stop a wedding. Your earpiece is filled with rapid whispers. You nod graciously, pretending to acknowledge the crowd while actually tuning in to a small voice screaming, "Wrong card. Stall. Stall more." You pivot. Before I announce this category, you say, "I just want to say how truly incredible every nominee is, the artistry, the innovation." You're now vamping at an Olympic level. This is the high-wire act of live television. And you? You're walking it in borrowed shoes and a smile. Then, at last, salvation arrives. A production assistant practically materializes beside you, takes the offending envelope and slips you the correct one with the smoothness of someone who's done this before. Too many times. Probably. You barely miss a beat. And now the correct winner is, you say, with just enough emphasis that everyone laughs but not enough that it turns into a scandal. You read the right name. Relief floods the room like central air conditioning. The audience cheers. Your co-presenter leans over and whispers, "Did that just happen?" You nod once, briefly, calmly, as though you weren't 30 seconds away from awarding an Oscar to a sound technician from a movie about lawnmowers. Backstage, someone claps you on the back and mutters, "Handled like a pro." Another says, "We'll fix it in the broadcast delay." You just smile, deeply grateful for the beta blocker that kept you from curling into a fetal position mid-monologue. Later, people will say you were graceful, elegant, unshaken. They'll never know your body was holding a full-blown internal fire drill while your face smiled like a spa brochure. That, dear viewer, is the power of modern chemistry and a well-timed anecdote. And next time you hold an envelope, you double-check it. Twice. The unthinkable happens. Someone hands you the wrong envelope. For a split second, your soul tries to exit your body. But with a practiced inhale and the grace of a seasoned beta blocker veteran, you smile serenely, stall with an anecdote about your amazing journey, and hope a producer sprints in before you congratulate Best Sound Mixing for winning Best Picture. Time slows to the speed of embarrassment. You stare at the card in your hand like it's written in ancient Sumerian. The words don't compute. They don't match the vibe. You know, deep in your bones, that this is not the right winner. You glance at your co-presenter. They're smiling, nodding, completely unaware they're about to walk into the emotional equivalent of stepping on a Lego in front of millions. You smile back because panic must never show itself. This is an award show. The only thing worse than a mistake is the acknowledgement of a mistake. Your fingers are trembling slightly. Internally, externally, they are composed, dignified, and gently gripping an envelope that holds a ticking bomb. The crowd is silent, expectant, unknowing. You could just read the name, push through, let the chaos fall where it may. But your frontal lobe, slightly fogged but still operational thanks to the pharmaceutical equivalent of a warm hug, decides to stall. You begin to speak, not about the winner, not yet. You mention how honoured you are to be presenting. You reflect vaguely on what this moment means. You praise the nominees, the craft, the magic of storytelling. You thank the Academy. You're now in a public-facing fugue state of inspirational stalling. The stage manager is offstage blinking in Morse code. A producer is running toward you like someone trying to stop a wedding. Your earpiece is filled with rapid whispers. You nod graciously, pretending to acknowledge the crowd while actually tuning in to a small voice screaming, "Wrong card. Stall. Stall more." You pivot. Before I announce this category, you say, "I just want to say how truly incredible every nominee is. The artistry, the innovation, you're now vamping at an Olympic level. This is the high-wire act of live television. And you? You're walking it in borrowed shoes and a smile. Then, at last, salvation arrives. A production assistant practically materializes beside you, takes the offending envelope, and slips you the correct one with the smoothness of someone who's done this before. Too many times, probably. You barely miss a beat. And now the correct winner is, you say, with just enough emphasis that everyone laughs but not enough that it turns into a scandal. You read the right name. Relief floods the room like central air conditioning. The audience cheers. Your co-presenter leans over and whispers, "Did that just happen?" You nod once, briefly, calmly, as though you weren't 30 seconds away from awarding an Oscar to a sound technician from a movie about lawnmowers. Backstage, someone claps you on the back and mutters, "Handle like a pro." Another says, "We'll fix it in the broadcast delay." You just smile, deeply grateful for the beta blocker that kept you from curling into a fetal position mid-monologue. Later, people will say you were graceful, elegant, unshaken. They'll never know your body was holding a full-blown internal fire drill while your face smiled like a spa brochure. That, dear viewer, is the power of modern chemistry and a well-timed anecdote. And next time you hold an envelope, you double-check it, twice. So tonight, as you finally melt into your very non-red carpet bed, take a quiet moment to appreciate just how spectacularly normal your own life is. You may not have paparazzi waiting outside your house, or a nervous publicist whispering, "Please, for the love of everything, don't thank your dermatologist" in the acceptance speech. You may never have to sweat through silk in front of millions, or fake a calm smile while your heart tries to pogo stick out of your chest on Leave television. You can simply exist, unmedicated and unseen, without worrying that your last awkward handshake will end up as a meme on Twitter. Tonight, you've survived the secret world of award show nerves, the ancient rituals of green room anxiety, and the eternal question, is everyone on something, or is it just me? You felt the terror of the teleprompter, the existential agony of the bathroom line, and the transcendent relief of sitting down after a speech you only half remember. You've learned that even the most glamorous people on earth have moments when they'd sell their soul for a single dry armpit or a bathroom with a lock. But more than that, you've witnessed something quietly heroic. Because beneath the glitz, the calm exteriors, and the impossibly shiny hair, celebrities are just people, sweaty, anxious, and profoundly human. Every acceptance speech, every trembling smile, every awkward after-party story is a tiny act of courage in a world built to make you nervous, and yet, somehow they stand up there anyway. Heart pounding, palms slick, voice wavering, but they do it. Sometimes with a little pharmaceutical help, sometimes just with hope and sheer stubbornness. So as you drift off, remember, the world may look calm and perfect from the outside, but everyone, absolutely everyone, is carrying a secret script of worries, hopes, and shaky hands. That's what makes us interesting. That's what makes us resilient. Tonight, let your mind go quiet. Whisper a silent thank you to the miracle of boring nights and stress-free sleep, to the luxury of not having to perform for anyone but yourself. The curtains down, the spotlights off, and you've earned a little peace. Sleep well, and may your dreams be blissfully free of cameras, critics, and bathroom cues. Good night.